संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मो स्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। ओम नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ओम नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। I convey my pranam at the feet of Thakur Ma and Swamiji, my pranam at the feet of our revered President Maharaj, Vice President Maharaj, Shoma Maharaj. My heartfelt greetings to all sannyasi brothers, brahmacharis, and a very good evening to every one of you present here. Today we have gathered here to discuss about today's topic, that is Swami Vivekananda's message to the youth of the nation. To start with, we would like to begin with the words of Sri Sri Ma Sarada Devi, where she points out that in this human body there are always a pairing, there is a symmetry. We have two eyes, we have two ears, we have two hands, and if you look very well to a human body, you will find that there is tremendous symmetry between every organ, both hands, even our ears. It may be that they are not looking alike. There is a minor difference also. But you see their positioning, they are working together, how they function, and how that united action that enables to run this whole body. We find a very similarity between this human body and our society, our culture. Over here also, we have these two pairings, which requires excessive bonding. What is that pairing? The old and the new, the young and the old ones, the youth and the old ones, the previous generation and the present generation. Both of these should be in symmetry in order to run this society properly. And over the ages we have seen that this symmetry is very much missing at times. The youth of the nation, they have a tendency to establish their own minds very strongly, what they have to say, and at times they start ignoring the past. And the people of the old age, people who have crossed that age and they are now on the brinks of the life, they also have a tendency to establish that what they think is the only path, and the young generation must follow that. It is very true. It is nothing to ignore. And even Swami Vivekananda is also saying that the tendency of the youth of ignoring the past is not true. It is not a good idea. Rather, they should learn from the past, given their own ideas, and build their future. What Swamiji is saying, that as a flowing river, it starts up from the mountains, comes down to this earth. And as it has a direction, it has a flow. The water of that river is very pure, clean, and even very healthy. But if that river is obstructed, it is not allowed to flow, what happens? That river becomes stagnant. It loses its flow. It becomes scattered, and even that force gets scattered. It is the duty of the older people not to obstruct the way of the young generation. Why am I saying this at the very beginning of this discourse? Because many people who are sitting in front of us today, they belong to this older generation. And Swamiji says that this older generation has a very much strong role to play in the lives of the youth. The youth of the nation, they have got the tremendous power within themselves, but they have to be directed in the right direction. If the direction is missing, then they will end up nowhere. As a boat which doesn't have any goal, and if it is let in a sea or in a river, if it doesn't have any direction, if it doesn't have a boatman, then what happens is that it goes haywire and they end up nowhere, maybe into ruin or destruction. So, the youth of this nation has to be guided by the older people. It is their duty, and the duty of the youth is also to obey them, to respect them, respect the culture, respect their heritage, because whatever is past is not forgotten. It has to be learned from the past. It is not that we have to always hold on to the past and we should always follow only that, but it is not like that. You have to learn from the past, give in your ideas in this present, and build up the future, so that the future generation which comes, they also can follow this present generation. What is present today is the past tomorrow. So it is very much required that the young generation and the older generation, they work together, very much symmetrical, so that the society goes on. And this direction has to be given by the older generation. It is their duty also to teach them. In giving this direction, education is very much necessary. Actually, it is good for the young generation to learn from the cultures of different countries, of different civilizations, but they must also not forget that what was under their ground, what is the basis of their base below their feet, on what are they standing today? The culture of India, the heritage of India, the customs of India, the rituals of India, and above all the religion of India. And within this religion is embedded a great spiritual power. That power is very much necessary for the young generation to recognize and to establish. Because spirituality, religion, is such a science that teaches us to control our power. And once this power is controlled, we will know how it can be put into action. Spirituality is such a science that gives this action a humanitarian ground. Spirituality, it is not embedded within any customs and any rituals. That is the part of religion that teaches us these customs and rituals. Because we have to control ourselves. All power is within you. Swamiji is saying always that all power is within you. It is, if the older religion, it said that if you do not believe in God, you are a non-believer, you are an atheist. But Swamiji says, I tell you with force, that the new religion says that if you don't believe in yourself, you are an atheist. Every much power is within yourself. You must utilize that power. That power is within yourself. You have to recognize that. That is the realization. Swamiji is saying that divinity is within yourself. You have to express that divinity. You have to take out that divinity from yourself and you have to give it to the world. That is the direction. That is, spirituality will do that. And spirituality is a very much essential in our education. If we formulate our education policies without keeping in mind the spiritual aspect, then we will become like that boat which has no direction to go in. It will be going, it will be flowing, but it will have no direction. That is a pity. And we cannot, in any situation, allow so much of power, so much of time, so much of wealth to flow away in this direction. Youth power is wealth for the nation. Youth power is extremely essential for the nation, because a nation's pride depends on this youth. A nation's future is laid in the hands of these youth, and they have to do that, guide it to the proper direction. Revered Swami Ramgunathanandaji Maharaj, the 13th president of the Ramakrishna order, he is saying in one of his lectures that as in an oil refinery, we take out oil from the earth, from below the seas. We take this, when we take out this oil, it is in a crude way, it is in a crude condition, full of impurities, and so many things are within that crude oil. But it has to be refined and refined and refined, and only then we get petroleum, or we get these petroleum products with which we can utilize in this country, in this world. So this work of extracting the oil from the refinery, through the refinery, from this earth, is the work which is laid within these older generations. It is extracted from there. The youth will extract it from there through their willpower, through their motivation. They will extract it, and it has to be refined. Youth power is well and good, it's very useful, but if it is not refined, then it can even lead to destruction. It has got so much of force in it. It has to be refined, and this process of refining, religion and spirituality plays a very good role in the process of this refining. More and more it is refined, more and more it can be utilized. It can be utilized for the betterment of the world. And India has so much of potency. The religion of India has so much of potency. We discussed in the previous discourses also that it has got so much to give to the world. You see, today the entire world is looking up to India. The superpowers are relying on India. So it is now a challenging moment for the youth of India to frame themselves, to formulate their directives, to formulate the directions that what they actually want to do, what they can do, and what they will do in future. It lays totally on the hands of the youth of this nation. Swami Vivekananda makes his point very clear, that the power has to be rejuvenated. Romarola, you have always, many of you have heard the name of Romarola. In one of his books, The Life of Swami Vivekananda in the Universal Message, Universal Gospel, he says that the work which Swami Vivekananda had done for India was very much similar to the work of Jesus Christ as it is in the Bible. We see the life of Lazarus. Lazarus lived with his sisters Martha and Mary. When Lazarus passed away, his sisters came and told Jesus Christ that Jesus, our brother, is no more. And he wept. Those sisters requested Jesus to please rejuvenate life in him, bring him up from death. Jesus wept very much, and he was very saddened at the death of Lazarus when he went to his tomb, and Jesus Christ summoned Lazarus. Lazarus, get up from the tomb. And so Lazarus arose from the tomb. Lazarus was brought to life by Jesus Christ. Romarola says that it is the same that Swami Vivekananda had done for India, because India was asleep. It was almost that India was about to perish. But Swami Vivekananda knew that if India perished, if India was no more, then the religion of the entire world would be abolished. And that couldn't happen. So Swamiji was very much stern. He was determined that I'll have to do something that will again bring up this Leviathan, bring up, it'll again arise. That is why he said that arise, awake, and stop not till your goal is reached. He is saying to the youth of the nation, contraction is death, expansion is life. Why? Because if the youth now at this juncture, if the youth starts thinking that we will only think about our own selves, we will only think about our nuclear family, we will only think about the people who are just around us, they are associated with us, that will not do. They will have to think for each and every one of this country, of this whole world, and they are thinking. Swami Vivekananda says that it is better to have no force. It is better to have at least some force rather than no force at all. Because when we see rivers, there are tremendous force in it, but from those rivers only we can get tidal power, electricity from only those rivers which has got that tremendous force. If there is no force in a river, you cannot get anything from it. Which means that if you have to have some utility from these rivers, if you have to bring out something, there must be a tremendous force in it. There must be this tremendous force in it. And Indian youth, the youth of this nation today, has that force within themselves. India has arisen over these years. It makes us really happy to see that the youth of this nation has arisen as Swami Vivekananda expected from them. There is tremendous force all around. You see that this force, if it is not utilized properly, it can be a menace also. Because nowadays we are seeing that this youth force is being wasted in different riots, in making different commotions in the society. In small little things, the youth is being scattered. They do not know how to utilize that force within themselves. Religion teaches to control that force. Spirituality teaches to give a humanitarian ground to this force. That is what the youth of the nation has to understand today. Because they cannot afford to waste that force. They have to rely on the past. They have to learn from the past. And they must learn from these old generations. It is not always that the old generation will restrict them within a circle. It is not the old generation people. They will always tell them that do not do this, do not do that, and do not do that. Let them do it, but guide them properly that if you do this, this will happen. It is better to do this other than that. Guide them to utilize this force for the betterment of mankind, for the betterment of the society, for the betterment of the world. That was the message of Swami Vivekananda to the youth and to the older generation people. Now, as I was talking about this refining, more and more this force is refined, more and more that people will understand that what Swami Vivekananda wanted from us. Swami Vivekananda was a sannyasi, and it was very natural for him not to think about the cliches of the society, not to think about the sad parts, that what was bad in the society, why was he so much concerned? But Swamiji says that I am the servant, we are the servants of that God which the ignorant called man. We are the servants of that God which the ignorant called man. We are the servants of humanity. So many times we have seen this, that Swami Vivekananda has proved throughout his life. In every part, wherever there has been a catastrophe on this humankind, on this mankind, Swami Vivekananda, along with his followers, he has arisen his followers to stand beside mankind every time. Alasanga Perumal, we were speaking about in the previous lectures, Swamiji gave him directions through his letters. If you find in the letters, you will see that there are so many letters. In fact, the letters were the only means at that time when Swamiji could communicate to the entire world through his followers. And through these letters, at every space we find that Swamiji is instructing them to arise the youth, to arise the youth. He says, give me a handful of youth and I will rotate the whole world. I will bring a revolution over here. And that really happened. This revolution, the freedom movement of India, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Mahatma Gandhi, Aurobindo Ghosh, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, there's so many people who have confessed that the freedom movement of India started with these inspiring words, with this inspiring life of Swami Vivekananda. Many years back, an old person had once asked me that you have become a monk. Swami Vivekananda, he directed so many people to this monastic life. But if Swami Vivekananda wouldn't have done this, there could have been so many revolutionaries in the Indian freedom movement. But it was a pity that that old person did not know that it was Swami Vivekananda only at that point who initiated this Indian revolutionary movement. After the passing away of Swami Vivekananda, 3 to 4 years just after 1902, it started, that revolution started. Why? Because Swami Vivekananda's inspiring words had given it to the world that the youth has to be arisen, and the youth force upturned the Britishers. Swami Vivekananda did this for the world, for India. That was the point when the Indians turned around. We were discussing it earlier also. So, Swami Vivekananda, he never turned away his face whenever he saw that there was a catastrophe. He always stood beside mankind. During the plagues in Calcutta, when it started, the plagues in Calcutta, Swamiji was in the hills, in the Himalayas. He came back from Himalayas. He formulated that relief. Before that, Swami Akhandananda had already started his relief works in Murshidabad in the famine. And in that plague, Sister Nivedita and Swami Sadananda, one of the monastic disciples of Swami Vivekananda, led that relief movement, that relief work in Calcutta. And in that, Swamiji is clearly writing in one place that we are the servants of the Lord, and if any person feels that they need some help from us, do write to us. We will be at the side of you. We are always beside you. and they jumped into the streets of Calcutta. We have seen that how Sister Nivedita took the brooms, an Irish lady, a foreigner, coming to India and working among the poverty-stricken people. They were always beside the poor. Is it not an eye-opening for today's modern youth that we have to stand beside the poor? Swamiji said that during that plague times, all the rich people, they were leaving Calcutta and going away. There were no one to look after the poor. There were no one to look after the downtrodden. Those people who were helpless, they couldn't do anything. They didn't have neither means nor the measures to help themselves. But Swamiji, the Ramakrishna Mission, the monastics, the householders, Sister Nivedita, everyone in that organized way, they carried out this relief work in Calcutta. Swamiji never went away from the poor, from the side of the poor. It was his message to the youth that no, you cannot at any stage show your back to these poor people, show your back to these people who want you, through whose efforts the riches have become rich people. And now it is the time for the rich to look after the poor. It is the time for the educated to educate the illiterate. This symmetry, this bonding must go on. Otherwise, society cannot go on. This world will come to a standstill. As Swami Ranganathanandaji Maharaj, he in his lectures has always said about this awakening of the youth, about igniting these youth so that they can understand that what was within themselves, what they can do for the country, what they can do for the world. This organizing capacity of Swami Vivekananda, he probably learnt it from Sri Sri Thakur. It is often said that Thakur didn't have that capacity of uniting his youth, but it is not true. When Thakur was alive, many people said these things, but it is not at all true. Because those young people, those people who came at the feet of Sri Sri Thakur, they understood what could be the uniting thread between the householder and the monastics. You see, the Ramakrishna Mission, it functions with these two fronts, the householders and the monastics. Right from the beginning we have seen this. And this uniting is love. This uniting thread is this love. Swami Vivekananda is always saying that neither money can earn you anything, neither education can earn you everything, but love can earn you everything. That is the only power that can bring people close to each other. We cannot forget this. We cannot ignore this, that it is only through this pure love which can bring us together and enable us to think for each other. Do you know what is lacking at this present generation of youth? They are not well aware of renunciation. Swami Vivekananda's words were always inspiring. He always wanted the youth to get up, arise and work. But one of the strongest messages of Swami Vivekananda's life was renunciation. But today's youth, it is very painful to say that today's youth, they are not heeding to this message of Swami Vivekananda. Where is that renunciation? Where is that strong burning feeling of renunciation among the youth of this present generation? We are lacking at that point. Only renunciation, detachment from these worldly pleasures, can make us a human being, a man. Swamiji is saying that my concern is man-making. That is my only goal, man-making. He has always laid stress on this man-making, because the society is comprised of human beings. We are the elements of this society. We belong to this society, and if we do not properly train ourselves, if we do not formulate our own selves, then how can we bring betterment to the society? How can we do good to other people if we ourselves we do not know that we have done good to ourselves? This burning sensation of renunciation is very much lacking. This renunciation only can enable us to feel for others, to feel with our heart expanded. Otherwise, how can we imagine that myself, who has come to this world for such a short period of time, if I do not live also, this world will go on. I was not here when the world was there. It was created long ages back. I was not there. But I have come here. I have got an opportunity to work for this world. From my childhood till the time when I have grown up, this world has given me so many things. I have learned so many things from my parents, from my religion, from my country. And it is the time now that when I will have to make myself that capability to give something to this world. Renunciation is that message, that universal message that even the Gita pronounces. Lord Sri Krishna, through his word Yoga, he is also saying the same thing as Swami Vivekananda later on says about this Karma Yoga. Action. But that Yoga, Karma Yoga, is that uniting. Your action, you are always doing an action. Okay, it is there, you have the power, you are doing that action. But that action has to be in a right way. Pelting stones at people, or even burning places, bringing up to fire, creating a commotion in the society, this is also an action. But looking after a child, looking after an old people who cannot find food, offering food to an old man, or looking after a small child, that is also an action. That is also utilizing your power. But that is an action for the good, which the Gita says it is the divine action. So the youth must understand that what we have to do, we can channelize our action to wrong actions, we can channelize our power to right actions also. It is up to us, the youth of this nation, that how well we formulate ourselves. Celibacy, as Swami Vivekananda had that tremendous power of remembering everything. We all know those incidents when Swami Vivekananda went through the books. He once from a library, he brought many books from there, and just over the night he finished and he gave back those books at the library. So the librarian asked him that, "You have finished these books?" He says, "Yes, ask me any question from anywhere." And the librarian was stunned that Swamiji answered any question from anywhere through those books. And Swamiji says that this could happen through brahmacharya. But today's youth, we are taking the inspiring words of Swami Vivekananda, but we are missing out at this point of renunciation. Maybe you may not have to renunciate the whole world, you may not have to renunciate your parents. You can stay within your society, you can stay within your family. But renunciation is very much required. Where you will be there, but the objects will not be there. Supposing you are watching the television and you are reading a book, your concentration level is at such a place that the television is not disturbing you. You are staying in that place in front of the television, but it is not, that is not influencing you. If you go up from there, if you leave that room, you go out from that place, that object will go away from there. But in renunciation, you are there, but your body is there, those objects are there, but that sense of disturbance is not within you. You are there, your body will be there, but your mind will be at the feet of the Lord. So that the troubles of this world, which entangle us, which doesn't allow us to devote ourselves to the Lord, that cannot disturb you. Through this burning renunciation, we can formulate our lives and we can offer it to the Lord. Even in the Gita, this is said. And Swami Vivekananda said this in our Karma Yoga. So it is the power of the youth that needs to be channelized through education. Swamiji is saying to Alasinga Perumal that you get some people who are educated, handful of these people, unite them at one place, congregate at one place. Those people who love Lord Ramakrishna, spread the message of this universal brotherhood and use this handful of people to enlighten the world. It is even today that we find the words of Swami Vivekananda very prominent, and it will carry on also. But we can not miss out that where this enlightened power within ourselves, that which has already enlightened, we have arisen the youth of this nation, that cannot be let to be misutilized, that cannot be let to be mischannelized. We have to think over that always. Seeking education, looking after spirituality, keeping religion in mind, that is the basics of living the life of the youth. And in this, I believe that not only Swamiji's words, not only his... Today Swamiji must be very happy to see that the youth of this nation is aroused, that there is so much of power within this youth, that the youth of the nation has arisen. But side by side, he may also be becoming sad to see that the youth has forgotten what they could have done for this world, what they are doing today, what so much of power it was within themselves, but they are not utilizing. The modern scientists, social scientists who are working on this society, they are utilizing three words: S, W, O and T. T stands for threats, O stands for opportunities, W stands for work, and S stands for strength. The strength of the youth that will enable us to work, to utilize the opportunities, to overcome the threats. There will always be threats in this world. When was there no threats? There has always been threats in this world. But we have to utilize these opportunities that is coming to us. We have to overcome these threats using these opportunities. And the words of Swami Vivekananda, the lives of Swami Vivekananda, Sister Nivedita, they are so inspiring that the youth of the nation can formulate their lives through these words. That is all that I have to say in this evening today. I pray to the feet of Thakurman Swamiji so that their power, their blessings, they enable us to the youth so that they can formulate their lives, they can use their power. Amritasya Putra, Swamiji is saying that we are the children of that Supreme Soul who have all power within ourselves, of the Divine Soul. So we can do so many things. Let the youth not forget these, and let the youth of this present day generation think something so that the life of Swami Vivekananda be not only within the books, be not only through these spiritual discourses that we are delivering before you today, so that they can also do something. They can also show the world that Swami Vivekananda did not only inspire them, but Swami Vivekananda is embedded within the youth of the nation, within the youth of India, through whom he is still now unfurling his message. Let the world see that the youth of India can do so much that even the world can see Swami Vivekananda through our lives. We all know that when Swamiji was traveling in in the Himalayas, he had seen so many poor people. There so many sadhus in Haridwar, in Rishikesh, even in Kashi, and Swamiji had sent Swami Kalyanandan Ji Maharaj in Haridwar, in Kankhal, to work for those old sadhus. It was Swamiji's message that you go over there, you look after those old people. But when the Swamijis reached over there and they started working in their restricted means, doing little bit whatever they could do for them, at that time, that society, they did not accept it well. They say that why are sadhus doing these sort of works? They are not supposed to do this. But slowly and slowly, when Swami Kalyananda Ji Maharaj and Swami Nishchalananda Ji Maharaj, they formulated that Shivashram in Kankhal. After that, they understood that no, the sadhus are not only restricted within their own meditation, concentration and their own spiritual lives. This was also an action. When they could do it, when those handful of sadhus, they were called Bhangi sadhus over there. That was the word that the educated people of Haridwar, Rishikesh, Kankhal, they gave it to them. When those sadhus, they could do it, why not the youth of this nation also can do it? Why cannot they devote their lives to the working of the society? I believe that the life of Swami Vivekananda will not be wasted in his mere sayings, in mere these spiritual discourses. Enough of discourses, we have done them, but along that, we have also missed out some inspiring lives, some lives of renunciation, which we could have got from the youth of this nation. It is the time now that the youth turn around, they understand their power, they understand their willpower and utilize their skills to renunciate their lives. Not that they all have to leave their families and go away, but staying within their families also they can do that. But that strong motivation of renunciation is nowadays missing in the youth. And I pray to them that may the life of Swami Vivekananda inspire you to that stage where you cannot only think for your own self. Let you not sleep. Let Swami Vivekananda not let you sleep in peace. Let him trouble you. Let him shake you from that sleep. Get you up from that sleep. Give your hands to him, so that Swami Vivekananda leads you with the blessings of Thakurman Swamiji May the youth of this nation go along that path and work for this world, for this present generation, because it is very much necessary nowadays, because we are seeing that how the youth of the nation, in spite of having that capability, they are turning their faces away. They can do so much of things, but they are not doing it. It is my heartful prayers to them that please feel within yourselves how much power is within you, what you can do and what you are doing, what you haven't done. Analyze yourself and see for yourself, evaluate yourself that over these years how much we have not done. This pandemic situation, it has been a great boon for us, that we have time now to think for ourselves, little time when we are all restricted within our houses, and we can devote little time to ourselves, the thinking of ourselves, that making of ourselves, and utilize this time also to think for others. I will end this discourse here today in this evening. It is almost quite time, and I pray at the feet of Swamiji, Thakur Ma, that their blessings guide us to make our lives into better future. Jananing Sharadang Deving Ramakrishna Jagadgurum Padu Padme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu Pranamami Muhurmuhu Pranamami Muhurmuhu.